So on the subject of kids, somebody said this quote, or I read this somewhere, so it's not my quote, but I'll take it. I'll be that lazy to take the quote. Somebody said that kids equal long days and short years. And I think that is a perfect summation because our daughter's 5 now. But when she was younger, the first couple of years, so much of the time did I feel like, and we just have one kid, like, everybody that has 2 or more kids laughs at parents that have only one kid. Like, you're not even real parents. But that my wife and I felt like so much of the time we were just trying to get to the next mile marker, whether it was nap time or the second nap or bedtime or whatever. And not that we weren't enjoying being in the moment, but so much of it felt like, man, we're just trying to get to the next thing where we can take a break, the next time where we can have just a little relief or a little peace and quiet or get caught up on whatever we needed to. And then poof, the day's gone, and then it starts all over again. And it just feels like this incredibly long slog, and not necessarily in a bad way. It's just like, man, you are in it from the second you wake up until they go to bed. And then all of a sudden you blink your eyes and 2 years has passed, and you see a photo that pops up on your phone as a memory, and you're like, we don't even have that Halloween costume anymore because she grew out of it 2 years ago. So that is hard to deal with, but it's to me, it's something to think about, that as you go through these mile markers, birthdays, holidays, whatever, not that those are, not only that those are the most important times you're going to have as a parent when they're young, sort of that core window, but at each of those moments, and even day-to-day stuff, your kids are watching what you do. And you are modeling behavior for them, whether you want to admit it or not. And that is something that my wife and I have tried really hard to be aware of. And I think that is an important lesson as we are talking about the Story Lesson Advice podcast. That is an important lesson to learn, is the idea that your kids are always watching. And they are always looking at mom and dad. And even if you don't think that they are always watching what you do, how you do it, how you speak, the way you speak, what you say. And I think one thing that's really important as parents to see, to recognize in that, is they're going to watch you, how you deal with conflict with each other and with other people. And, there's an analogy or a trope that's been played out in TV or movies or whatever about, someone, 2 people being on a date, and the guy is a total jerk to the server. And that sort of informs the girl, like, okay, this guy's not for me. And she gets up and leaves or whatever. But so the same thing about when you have that opportunity to model the behavior in front of your children, or to your children, how you're doing that, they are watching, and you are helping shape how they are going to react to similar situations. When you are told no, when you are arguing with your spouse, when you have a difference of opinion, when something goes wrong, when you drop something, I tend to get pretty upset at silly, stupid things that you probably shouldn't get upset about. But so much of my life I've tried to force into sort of efficiency and optimization, and everything is humming along at the perfect pace and the perfect speed. And then you have kids, and it's like, the one thing that you don't need them to do is to knock over the bowl of cereal that they have on the couch or whatever. The one thing you don't need them to do is to knock the drink off the ledge. And inevitably, that one thing that you don't want them to do, that's the thing that happens. And it's incredibly frustrating. But how we deal with that frustration, not only inwardly, but how we express that outwardly, they are always watching no matter what we do. And I also think, as I mentioned before, with the conflict aspect, it's healthy for your children to see mom and dad argue. And it's healthy for them to see that, as long as you are having that conflict in a healthy and constructive manner, because it's important to see the beginning, middle, and end, the resolution of how that happens. So as they're sitting there watching and you're in the kitchen, and it goes from, sort of some sarcastic comments to maybe a little more aggressive to kind of an all-out fight. Well, how you're doing that? How are you talking to each other? Are you still talking respectfully to each other? Are you still communicating the way that two adults who love each other should be communicating, and that's what your children are going to see. So they're going to be able to see, hey, conflict is okay because you can move through the conflict, you can resolve it, and you can see that at the end you can still love each other. As it translates for them, you can still be friends with the person that took your toy at school.